the folks that, are renting. Think about like working people in the city aren't going to be protected anymore.
That was Boise Mayor's concern when we spoke with her last week, that the legislature and the governor were going to undo all the protections Boise City Council has created for renters. Mayor Laura McClain expressed her worry on the day House Bill 545 arrived in Governor Little's office. That'd be March 27th. 2 days later, March 29th, Governor Brad Little signed it into law, even though in his transmittal letter, he explained why he signed it. Governor Little points out it has become increasingly difficult for many Idahoans to afford housing. This is the bill, by the way, which is now law, that would prevent any city or county from forcing any property owner to accept payment from a federal housing assistance program like a Section 8 voucher, nor would any landlord have to accept a third-party payment for rent. Any regulation of rent, fees, or deposits, those would also be banned. So here's the thing. Those are all things the city of Boise has added to their city ordinances over the last few years. In 2019, Boise limited rental application fees to $30. Last year, Boise City Council voted unanimously to stop landlords from retaliating against renters who, for example, make repair requests. They made it so any landlord who evicted a tenant to renovate a building, well, they had to return the entire deposit. And in a vote of 5-1 last fall, Boise City Council added source of income to the city's antidiscrimination ordinance, meaning landlords could no longer deny rental applicants based on their source of income, like a Section 8 housing voucher or a third-party payment. Those last three rules went into effect the 1st of this year, but because of 545 now becoming law, beginning the 1st of July, all that goes away.
All of it goes away. Any protections that we created for renters, gone.
Have you had a chance to see his transmittal letter?
I did. I took a look at it.
This third paragraph saying he strongly believes in Idaho's long tradition of respecting, upholding, and defending Idahoans' private property rights. We must have laws in place to protect property owners. The very next sentence, that said, I am also a strong believer in local control, where the locally elected leaders are the best situated to develop solutions that fit their communities and neighborhoods.
I really appreciate his trust in the city council and myself and mayors and city councils around this state, and because we are doing that.
You appreciate that, but he's also taken that away from you.
Well, I appreciate that he's acknowledged a problem, because you got to acknowledge a problem in order to be part of the solution, and also appreciate that he acknowledges that those of us working at the local level in community with our residents are really good problem solvers, because we are.
Does it seem contradictory to you?
Oh, I'm focused on what we're doing here, and it creates a little bit more difficult puzzle for us.
Are you disappointed, or is there another way to describe kind of your reaction to this?
Oh, I'm definitely disappointed and frustrated. Look, this isn't new, where we've passed great ordinances and great laws at the request of our residents who overwhelmingly support them, and then the legislature changes them. And that's super frustrating, but it's not a situation where I'm so frustrated that I just throw in the towel, right? Because I made a commitment to Boiseans that we're going to solve problems. We're going to keep doing that. Requires us then to go back to the drawing board and come up with some ideas. Looking forward to doing that, because we have to ensure that people in Boise can find a home that they can afford without discrimination, without fear of retaliation, and without having to pay a whole bunch of fees that they now have to pay again to try to find an apartment.
More from the governor's transmittal letter. Elected leaders in both rural communities and larger cities are working to address their unique housing needs and challenges, but that's kind of been taken away now. Of course, this isn't completely on the governor. House Bill 545 wasn't his doing completely. Despite most Idahoans, according to this year's Boise State Public Policy Survey, their biggest concern is cost of living and housing, with 40% saying workforce and affordable housing should be the legislature's top priority this session. Well, despite all that, the House passed 545, 59-11, strictly along party lines, because they believe in protecting the rights of property owners. The Senate, they passed it 26-9, with 2 Republicans voting against it. And one of those was Senator Abby Lee from Fruitland, whose vote was based on what she heard from constituents.
This is a local issue. This is an issue where communities need to make their decisions. And I pointed to Boise and I said, hey, you know what Boise's doing? That's not going to work in Payette County. But if you have a remedy and if we need to do something, we need to go locally.
Okay, so now those locals, as Mayor McClain put it, will have to get more creative. Think outside the box they've now been put in order to protect renters and address affordable housing. House Bill 545 goes into effect July 1st.